Hey everyone, I want to deal with a question that every leader really is asking themselves, either consciously or certainly subconsciously. And that is, how do I motivate my people to action? That's what a leader does. A leader is there to solve a problem and to solve that problem through other people by pulling people into the mission of solving that problem. We can tap into the very motivation that is inside of people to create the outcome that we want. So why is it that often we struggle or get frustrated because of inactivity? Because we've given our best talk, we've given our best information and advice to help them create the behavior, to follow through on the actions that will produce the result, and they don't. And we get frustrated because we can see that gap between what people are saying and then what people are doing. And if we're all honest, part of that problem lies in each of us as human beings. So how do we bridge that gap? And I think it's really important to realize from the start that what we're talking about here is not the what to do. It's not even the how to do it. Those things are important. Those things are competencies. Those things are attitudes. But actually deeper than that, this is about emotion. This is about what truly drives me and motivates me. And I remember as a child, I used to love cars. I had lots of different cars that did lots of different things. Those that I had to use my own hand to make go forward. I had remote control cars. And then there was this other little car that actually was probably one of the cheapest cars, but was the one that I enjoyed the most. And it was the car that when you pulled it back, there was something in the vehicle that wound up. And then as you pull it back, it's building up this internal energy. And then of course, you release the car and it shoots forward. And that brought the greatest pleasure to me. And so I was thinking about this analogy. There are the cars that you have to push, and as long as you're pushing, they'll keep moving. Then there are those that you pull back and then they go themselves. So I started to do a little bit of investigation as to what is it that drives us. And there's three key words that I want to just draw to your attention and to maybe open up a discussion with you and your leaders. And certainly I'd do some personal introspection on this. In other words, looking at kind of where I'm at as a leader. What am I relying upon getting me moving? So there's three different ways in which a physical object moves, and that can relate to us as leaders and then therefore our followers. So first of all, you can compel something or someone to move. And so the word compel literally means to force. And so I can force an object forward by putting my energy and my weight behind it. And as a leader, that force could look like creating a sense of duty. So for instance, if you pay staff, then it would be, right, well, you're paid to do this, so do it. And so I'm using the force of money. And maybe in a family setting or in a team setting, I will use the force of duty. It is your duty. It is your responsibility within your title and your role. And I can use these different mechanisms to try and get somebody to do what they need to do. And so I can drive them forward. Another analogy would be driving sheep. So you've seen it, yeah? You've seen the shepherd who uses the dog, or the farmer that uses the dog, and they will try and herd the sheep, but without the farmer, without the shepherd, without the dog, there's no kind of force or duty or obligation for the sheep to move. And of course, the sheep will then just wander and kind of do whatever sheep do. And so am I a leader that is relying upon compelling people? So it will create movement. And this is the tricky thing here, is that each of these will actually create some effect. But really, it's asking ourselves the question, if I want to grow as a leader, if I want to increase my capacity as a leader, then really I need to be asking myself the question, how can I encourage people to do more by doing less? Because you only have the same amount of hours in the day, the same amount of energy you start every day with. And so unless you start to look at how you're motivating people, then how can we start to change so that we can influence and encourage more people to get behind the mission that we're on with? So that's the way, number one, compelling people. The second one would be propelling people. So similar to compelling in that you're driving something, but really you're using encouragement. So whereas like compelling can be a little bit more maybe using guilt, maybe using positional power to make something move. Compelling is, I guess, a bit nicer. You're encouraging people. You may be using positive words of, oh, you can do it, motivating, pumping people up. And maybe as a leader, what that feels like right now is that, you're giving all your energy to motivating people, but it just doesn't seem to be having the desired effect. It's having an effect, but not the desired effect. And so it feels like, if you were just to kind of stop your meetings, then there would be less, little or no progress. And so you just have to keep pumping, that machine of encouragement to keep people moving. So again, you can keep doing that, or you can ask yourself the question, which is what I have asked many times and continue to ask, is there another way? Well, there is another way, and it is the way to motivate people, not only in the short term, but to create sustainable, continued motivation and without the need of your constant energy. How many of you would like to know what that is? Well, the third way is what the term that is used is impelling. Now, it's not as common a word as compelling or propelling, but impelling is when you understand that there is a motor, an engine inside the car. Let's go back to my analogy. And so all I need to do is, you see, with that car, I could just treat it like other cars that I had and just push it and use my own energy, compel it forward or drive it forward and propel it. But actually, I understood that there's a little engine in here. And if I could just learn that actually by pulling it back rather than pushing it forward, I could tap into that internal engine and allow it to propel itself. So rather than me having to be the energy behind it, it unlocks its own energy to move forward. And so impelling is learning how to tap into, not in a manipulating way, which is really important because, of course, these things can be taken and used for negative purposes, but in a constructive, positive way that can act upon people's thoughts and even more than thoughts, emotion to move them forward. And of course, as a leader, the difference I believe between a leader and a manager is about how-tos and what-to-dos, and managers are essential. It's about efficiency, but leaders are about effectiveness. And so therefore leaders are about the why. And the problem with the why is sometimes it sounds a little bit more fluffier than the how-tos and the what-to-dos. But actually, the soft stuff's really the hard stuff. It's the stuff that actually moves people. That actually, if you can tap into my why and connect with actually what motivates me, then do you know what? I will go longer, further, harder without you needing to push me. And actually, then of course, when I build up that head of steam, I end up then looking as a leader for others to impel, to get into a space where they can understand their driving force. So I really want to open up this discussion because for me, money is very often seen as the motivating force, but here's a principle: a physical item cannot meet an immaterial, intangible need. And somebody's internal engine is intangible. You can't see it. It's invisible. You can't cut it out and transplant it to somebody else, and you can't transplant it in. It's part of the spirit and the soul of a person. So money in itself can motivate, but really it's a compelling force, or you're going to lose your job if you don't do this. It's a propelling force. But really, money really is a means of achieving something. So really, it's not the money that I need to wave in front of people. Hey, look what you can earn. Actually, it's the mission. It's the mission. It's spending time understanding what causes this person to move. And again, not telling it or trying to brainwash it, but actually realizing they already have this engine. I've just got to help them understand what it is that will unlock that drive to be more, which is the first step, which then can be to do more, which then can be to have more, but then the full circle is so that you can give more. Hey, I just wanted to drop those thoughts in. Let's keep our conversation going, because I really want to help you realize that as a leader, there is more in you than you think.